Welcome to Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, and the websites by plebs. All right, we're going to the numbers. Let's take a look at them.
Number time! Sponsored by Bitcoin 2022.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 702,489. The Bitcoin price, 43,250. Chain rewrite days, 838. Total public lightning capacity, 2,834.99. It's a new all-time high. That's up from yesterday.
Took a hit.
Huh?
It was at 903.
Was it?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, you know what? I saw that. You know what? We're going to pull up a chart later, and you're right. It just bounced off the top and started to go down a bit. So we were at an all-time high, though, earlier. Anyways. All right. Sats per dollar, 2,311. That just dropped on us during the show. Blocks to the halvening, 137,511. Eesh.
But you know what did go up?
What?
The caca price. The fiat versus the ultimate shitcoin, the dollar versus Bitcoin. That went up. And again, there's that pattern again. I'm going to keep reiterating it. We might be onto something. The lightning capacity went down when the Bitcoin's caca price went up. You know? That's so right. Interesting observation.
Hey, look. You know what? We're going to end up showing a little bit later on a new chart that I think we're gonna add.
It's the numbers, dude. Show it right now.
Show it right now? Okay, well,
yeah,
anyways,
dude.
Look, so then we'll give a shout out right away to Mr. Robot, right? Because he's the one that sent this over to us.
It's definitely numbers. I know what chart you're talking about.
You know what I'm
definitely
talking
falls
about.
into the number category, for sure.
No problem. Hey, if we're gonna, then let's do it now. Nice. I just wasn't sure when we were gonna show it, you know?
This is totally number category, Phil.
Category?
Guys, do you agree with me or do you disagree? Let us know down in the comments. Let us know. All right, what are we looking at, Phil? What are we looking at?
Okay, so what we're looking at right here is the sum of the channel value, okay? And take a look at that.
What the fuck does that mean, Phil?
I mean, this is pretty cool. Here we're showing exactly how much BTC is on these lightning channels, 2,858, and we're looking at 75,562 lightning channels. So it's not individual nodes, but it's number of channels. And essentially, any lightning node, at least this is the way it was when I started building them, you can have any number of channels. It'll support whatever the hardware that it's running on will support. And I don't know if this cap is still in there, but at the time, you were only able to have a maximum of 16%, right? Or 16 million Satoshis per channel. But I know that since, we're talking 2 years ago, so I'm assuming that now, like Wumbo and stuff like that has somehow been added or going to be added, and you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. And
it would be interesting
create the girth.
Create the girth. We want a girthy channels. So it would be interesting to see, right, a chart of the price action and the lightning channels, right, whether they open or not, whether Bitcoin's going up or down, right? Because we keep observing that, but it'd be easier to chart it. You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
Anyways.
I know. It's pretty cool. Anyways, look, great, great stuff, great addition. I enjoyed seeing that. Enjoyed showing that. That was fun.
Likewise. It's always nice to see the lines,
But you notice how that was just going up.
Yeah.
You notice how it's like that.
Dude, it's parabolic, bro. And this is what we want. We want more and more Bitcoin on the lightning capacity, because there's going to be a day, I'm telling you, Phil, where enough people are going to be woken up and you're going to be able to go anywhere, right? Especially if it's not a chain, like a store, if it's just an individual small business owner, like a restaurant or something like that. And you'll be able to say, can I pay in Bitcoin? And that person will probably say yes. We're going to get to that day before Bitcoin becomes official legal tender and all that stuff. But enough people wake up from the fiat matrix, and then you're going to say, hey, can I just pay you in Bitcoin instead of dollars? And they're going to say, hell yes, right? We're going to get to that day, I would say, pretty soonish, especially with the type of inflation that we're seeing right now that apparently doesn't exist, and apparently it's because of the supply chains and not because of the amount of money that's printed.
Oh, Nico, we're going to take a look at that in the fail.
Okay.
That's one of the fails, yeah.
Speaking of that, Phil,
We're talking about stuff that doesn't exist.
Phil, it's time for
The Daily Fail, sponsored by
Pirate Hash.
talking about inflation that isn't real, right? Prices that aren't actually going up. Anyways, I love Rudy Havenstein's feed. It's always got such great commentary. Anyways, just so happened to pick this up today. What does it mean? Maybe it means the Federal Reserve's ZERP and QE policies made houses unaffordable for most people, except hedge fund managers, foreign money launderers, desperate well-off yield seekers, Blackstone, and overpaid Fed staffers. Interesting, right? Anyway, so why did he make that comment? You could see right down below over here, Freddie Mac, single family, got the blue check mark, right? Lets us know that it's from the official sources.
Thanks, Twitter.
Thanks, Twitter. Home prices increased 4 times faster than income. No shit. I'm surprised. What does it mean for future borrowers? Well, I'll tell you what it means. It means we're screwed. It means most people aren't owning a home, and it means most likely lots of people are going to be living a rented life.
Remember, guys, it's 2030. You owe nothing and be happy.
Exactly. Okay, here we go. So let's take a look. He cited some other interesting things here, which I think, let's pay attention. For the past 10 months, Bei Qin, a realtor in Silicon Valley, California, has not had any clients from China, a market that used to be her major source of business. We had the best business in 2016 and 2017. Every day we had inquiries from Chinese buyers. So, we all know what's happening with Evergrande out there. And, all of a sudden the buyers of all of this property, right? So it's interesting. It's really interesting to see how the essentially the giant circle jerk of money printing, how quickly how quickly it all comes back home, right? Anyways, so this is an interesting article that he cited. The Great Wall Street Housing Grab. Hundreds of thousands of single-family homes are now in the hands of giant companies, squeezing renters for revenue and putting the American dream even further out of reach.
You owe nothing. 2030, you'll be happy.
So I find it so absolutely remarkable that this is what we go through. I find it so remarkable. Look, I'm looking for a house right now, and it is incredibly difficult to see, the overinflated prices on so many properties that really aren't worth that much, but that's just what the overall market is at. So it's incredibly frustrating, and it's true. Actually, one of my wife's friends was looking for a home, and they just they traveled to where they were looking. They spent about a week there looking for a house, and they came back and they said, you know what, it was horrible. The houses, they had to bid at least $100,000 to $150,000 more than what the asking price was, and it was already, the asking price was already too high, but there were so many people bidding for it. So anyways, look, I think we're definitely headed for a very difficult time when it comes to this. We have shown articles in the past of BlackRock purchasing homes. They are not looking to sell you those homes back. They are looking to rent you those homes. They are looking to create a giant rent nation. Okay? And it is scary as hell. Going back to what Nico was just saying, they are, whatever groups it is that are conspiring to create this, you'll own nothing and be happy. This is part of it. This is absolutely part of it, is inflating these assets, making home ownership almost impossible, or very much out of reach for the average person.
Absolutely, man. And you're absolutely spot on. In the 1970s, you used to be able to, have, the traditional nuclear family, right? Have the dad go to work, right? Again, not trying to be sexist or anything. It could be the mom that goes to work, the dad stay at home with the kids, right? Either, whatever your preference, whatever floats your boat, right? But, the traditional, way, one parent goes to work 9 to 5, one stays with the kids, right? And, you could own a house and a car, right? And you could live happily. You can't do that today. It's very difficult to do that. Most people have to work 2 jobs. Both parents have to work, right? You know, you're privileged if you're in that type of situation. And that isn't because you aren't working hard enough. That is literally because the money is broken, and it's created something called the Cantillon effect, where the rich get richer, right? Because they're the first to benefit from the money spigot, and the poor get poorer, right? Why? Because they're the ones to receive the inflation all the way at the bottom of the pyramid, right? So, and it's created these monstrosities of companies, you know, like BlackRock, for example, right? And where do you think all of these people meet up? They meet up in Davos, Switzerland, at the World Economic Forum, right? So when you see their propaganda of 20, you know, it's 2030, you'll own nothing, you'll be happy, right? Put all the conspiracy theories aside, you know, build back better, all of that stuff. Like, man, they're telling you exactly what they envision. This is a group of elites that think they could run the world, essentially. And that was essentially created by this monstrosity of this monetary experiment called fiat. Right? It's not inherently that these people are bad people. It's that the system is architected in a way where you're incentivized to act that way, right? And again, like Klaus Schwab, definitely a psychopath. But, you know, I'm sure a lot of these bankers are just like the rest of us. They just want to pay their mortgage, man. You know, but they're incentivized to do what we would consider unethical stuff, right? Because that's how fiat is built, right? So again, there's another example of Bitcoin fixes this. Phil, what's the next fail?
All right, we're going to dive into something everybody was, I think a lot of Bitcoin Twitter was talking about today. Going to give a shout out to Sai and Copernicus' son. There you go. I think I pronounced it almost correctly. Anyways,
no, it's definitely Copernixon, bro.
No, it's Copernicus' son. Anyways.
Copernixon.
So they both tagged me in this. You know, this is some great stuff. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're diving right into the Bitfinex story and the terrible shitcoin fees. Okay? So let's go here. But we're also going to talk about this new thing, right, that we called a fail a couple of weeks ago, this new EIP, right, Ethereum improvement crap. Yeah, that kind of ties into this. Kind of shows how, like, they don't know what they're doing. Anyways, and I'm so glad that I'm not the one shilling, you know, storing value on that shitcoin, because it's insane. Anyways, all right, let's dive in. Breaking, right? Bitfinex just spent 23.7 million in fees to make a single Ethereum transaction. All right, let's dive right into the article. A wallet belonging to crypto exchange Bitfinex just paid 23.7 million in transaction fees to send 100,000 of Tether in what was a bit of a slip-up. Make a mistake like that, huh? Diversify, a non-custodial exchange that spun out of Bitfinex in 2019, said the transaction originated via its platform, which offers access to DeFi protocols. DeFi. Look at that. A fees rug pull brought to you by DeFi.
It's the future of finance, bro.
It is the future of finance. We're totally missing this, Nico. You know what? You're just so toxic. Okay. Yeah, you should pay attention, all right? I'm about to read some really good stuff here that really pumps it up. All right. So here we go. Which offers access to DeFi protocols without paying gas fees. These transaction fees, it turns out, are paid out through one of Bitfinex's main wallets, which ended up footing the bill. Oh. $23 million oopsie. But it's okay, because not everybody, you know, no one's money was affected. So it's all good, except for the person who paid that fee. But no one else is, it's all good. Anyways, the transaction was a smart contract interaction with the amount of Tether sent to one wallet before being passed along to Diversify's wallet. It used the newly implemented EIP 1559 type of transaction, which was designed to make Ethereum fees easier to predict.
No, just so you know, guys, they copied the Bitcoin Improvement Protocol. I think that's what it stands for, the BIPs,
That's right.
And
yes.
This is an Ethereum Improvement Protocol. This is what happens.
So the same way that they steal our memes and try to make them Ethereum related is they steal the Bitcoin language as well. the Bitcoin naming conventions. Anyways, okay, this is just another article, just kind of, we're going to slightly just pivot quickly over to EIP 1559, so we could just recap it for a second, and then we're going to pivot right back. Essentially, the cost of processing transactions are preventing Ethereum from truly being Ethereum. Yet this week, we may finally have a solution. It's called EIP 1559, and it is the mother of all updates for the Ethereum blockchain so far. Indeed it is.
Okay,
23.
So,
yeah.
Hold on, Phil.
Yeah.
How does this not remind you of communist propaganda? I'm just bro, it's literally like they say one thing, but they mean the exact opposite. Or they try one thing, but it has the exact opposite result. Dude, I'm telling you. It's the NFTs too, bro. We print them out, we show them that we can make right click, and they're like, no, that is impossible. It's the same insanity, right?
We made them our green screen, and that still wasn't enough. Apparently, it wasn't enough ownership because, Nico, you don't understand. You don't own that hash because, you see, somebody is going to demand that unique hash of that image. They're not going to care about the image. They're going to care about the hash.
That's true.
Of the image.
Okay.
We're missing it, man. We're not open-minded enough. I could tell you, that's what I want to see on my wall. A picture of that hash.
You've been warned. This is a toxicity level 10 episode.
Okay, let's keep going into this, okay? All right, so keeping on, right? EIP 1559, designed to make gas prices more predictable and less vulnerable to manipulation. Did they test it before they rolled this shit out, or no? The upshot, Ethereum users should get a much-needed break on the costs of using their beloved network. Indeed. Yes, predictable cost. 23.7 million in one transaction. You know what? It's so ridiculous.
Dude.
Okay, let's finish it up here. Previous notable occasions include 2 transactions that were made in June 2020 that added up to 5.2 million. Now, what I want everybody to pay attention to is that those 2 transactions took place that only added up to 5.2 million, which was significantly less than the 23.7 million. Those 2 transactions took place prior to the EIP 1559 protocol, which was supposed to make transactions more predictable. So I want you to think about that for a second, okay? I want you to think about that. It had the complete opposite effect on this transaction.
Dude, oh my God, man.
And they're calling themselves ultrasound money, and you want to store my value on your blockchain. That's not happening.
Bro, could you imagine just sending out that transaction just nonchalant, right?
Imagine you paid for it?
And then you, let's say, you're one of those blessed people that had, $50 million in that said shitcoin, right? Dude, and that shit just drains your stuff,
gone.
It just gone, poof, gone. Man. Well, they named it correctly, Ethereum Improvement Protocol.
They fixed the glitch, so, yeah.
Man, dude, listen, any shitcoiner that is watching this, you've been warned, the level of toxicity is very high today, but please, in the comments, explain how that shit fixes Ethereum. Dude, and I know what they're going to say. Oh, it was a glitch. It was a technical. You don't see that type of glitch in Bitcoin, ever.
This is the point, though.
Ever.
This is the point. That glitch should not be happening with your money so many times. Okay? It's not just, this isn't the first time. We've already, ETC, ETH Classic, ETH 1.0, that was Ethereum first. People tend to forget that the ETH that they're using today is a fork. And if I'm not mistaken, they had to do that. Wasn't that because of the DAO hack?
I don't know, dude.
I don't remember anymore. Anyways, whatever. If people know who are watching, comment in the show notes. Let us know how wrong we are about that. But I'm pretty sure that's what happened, but I could be wrong.
Look, Phil...
They had to roll back transactions. I know that.
Phil, oh my God. Stop trading, the Vitalik thing. Stop trading! So, yeah, if that is not a literal example of why ETH is a shitcoin, I have no idea what is. Like, you know, if that does not open your eyes, your bag is way too fucking heavy. You should sell your fucking bag and you should put it to Bitcoin. This can't happen in Bitcoin. It's not how it works, you know, but it's so ridiculous. Anyways, yeah.
Imagine that you went and made a transaction. Like, imagine you went and sent somebody money and it drained your entire Bitcoin, like all of your funds,
dude,
to make the transaction.
Like, is that the money is that like the next world reserve currency?
Hey, you know what? They're listening to the World Economic Forum, Nico, and they're saying, have we got a fix for you?
Yeah,
you're going to make one transaction, you're going to be gone. That's it, bro.
The Ethereum guys are listening to them, bro. They're like, you'll owe nothing and you'll be happy. They're following it, bro. They're following the propaganda, but goddamn, dude.
Yeah,
what a good fail. What a good fail. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Meme Review, sponsored by
Citadel 21. All right, everybody, the meme for today is brought to us by a fellow plebe. Check them out, Bitcoin Sample. Anyways, the evolution of money. I love it. It's Klaus Schwab, Christine Lagarde, and Jerome Powell, and the meteor of Bitcoin. And I like the little shout out to El Salvador, the volcanic energy spitting out sats. Awesome meme. Next one is brought to us by the Norwegian Hodl, another fellow plebe. Hey, Hanky tweeted about Bitcoin again. See, nobody cares. Awesome memes. For those awesome memes by those fellow plebes, which, by the way, I got those memes from our Telegram group, right? So if you want some memes to be reviewed on Simply Bitcoin, join our Telegram group right now. There's a link down below. Join it. We need memes to review. Anyways, for that meme, I'm gonna give it literal dog shit. A $1 Zimbabwe note.
Literal dog shit.
Keep in mind, guys, they made $100 trillion version of this note. So it's funny too, because on the note it literally says, I don't know if you could see it. Oh yeah, I promise to pay the bearer on demand. Anyways, Phil, what would you give that meme?
They can write whatever they want.
Yep.
They can write whatever they want on those. So, I see your shitcoin, and I raise you 1 Bitcoin.
Oh.
This is a 3D printed gold. It's not real gold, obviously. It's plastic. Bitcoin logo from Cloaks. Yes, this is something that I got before I had a 3D printer.
I think you would be a heretic if that was Bitcoin and real gold.
Yeah, I know, right? Wouldn't that be like so weird? But I thought it was. I was gonna put these on the metal cases that I was making. Anyways, I think that those memes they deserve the corn.
they
deserve the corn,
and you know they deserve the most worthless of worthless. It's so worthless it has monetary value as a collector's item. That's how worthless it is. Interesting.
That's amazing,
right? Isn't that cool?
Weird?
Isn't that cool? You know, you could just frame a dollar bill. You know, in 20 years. You could sell it for more. It could be a collector's item. You never know. But you kind of do know. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily News, sponsored by
Cloaks.
All right, everybody, kind of a follow-up from yesterday. We're going to stay on top of what's happening in El Salvador because it's really historic. And if you're wondering why the mainstream media is having such a panic attack and why Steve Hanke came out of his coffin because he's a vampire, right? This is why. More people now use a Bitcoin app than a bank account in El Salvador. 2.2 million Chivo users, 1.8 million bank accounts. Keep in mind, banking has been around for a very long time, and Bitcoin's only been around for 3 weeks. And it looks like more people have downloaded the Chivo app than they have a bank account. So, kind of breaks a lot of narratives, doesn't it?
Quick, animate Hanky. Sure, he must have something to say. Animate him. Come on.
I'm not
Somebody
even.
tease with that guy so he wakes up or something.
I'm not even kidding. I am concerned about Nayib Bukele's safety. I am not even joking.
Of course, are you kidding me? He's like, this guy's making them all look like idiots.
This breaks so many things you have no idea. This fact right here is so dangerous to them, because I guarantee you, all countries that least benefit from the legacy financial system are seeing this and they're taking notice.
Freedom is infectious.
It is. So
people actually really want it at the end of the day. Apparently, we don't all really want to be monetary slaves forever.
This is absolutely insane. Again, this is about 30 to 35% of the total population of El Salvador is already using Bitcoin, and it's only been 3 weeks. Absolutely crazy. Here is Nayib Bukele actually posting, the stats. There's 142 new users every minute, right? 65,437 transactions per second. This is absolutely crazy. 199 ATMs activated, right? And here's the total number of users, right? So, dude, absolutely freaking crazy.
What about the shitcoin narrative, Nico? How are these people buying coffee?
This is nuts, dude.
I don't understand. How are they doing this without DeFi? Are they sending pictures to each other?
It's only been 3 weeks, dude. Think about how hard. Think about how hard it is to open, like, real quick before it gets to the next segment, right? Think about how hard it is to open a bank account.
I know.
Phil and I recently...
They are so dead.
Phil and I recently went through this because we opened a bank account for our LLC for Simply Bitcoin, and holy crap, they looked at us badly, right? Like as if we were some type of drug dealer, right? Like it was like you had to sign so many like basically the only thing they didn't ask for is our blood type, but everything else, like it was you had to report it. Now compare that with downloading a Bitcoin wallet. Now, what the bureaucracy is going to want you to think is that they're necessary. The reason that El Salvador is so dangerous is that it proves it's not, and the world doesn't burn down if you give people freedom. Look at that. So, I'm telling you, dude, these stats, like I fear for his safety, like legitimate. I'm not even kidding. I wish I was kidding when I said that. Like, dude, like that is the biggest middle finger to the legacy financial system I could ever imagine. Like literally it only takes 3 weeks to surpass the amount of bank accounts in the country. 3 weeks of Bitcoin. Holy cow. Phil.
Dude, never forget that all of that paperwork, all of that red tape is for our safety. Okay? That's for our safety. Never forget that.
Oh, man.
I don't even know what to... Like, I mean, it's just so... Really, it is. It's totally despicable, and it's hilarious. You know what? F the banks, okay? I will never forget this image, okay? I was driving... This was when I was like I had just gotten out of tech school, got tons of debt. I'm working this garbage tech job, okay? And like... trying to pay back the student loans and all that garbage. And I remember driving by a bank, okay? I'm not going to name it, even though they deserve to be named, but it makes no difference because they're all the same, right? They're just different logos for the same shit in the back. Anyways, there was a guy standing in front of the bank, and he had a sign that said, "I am not financially viable." Okay? And they made that guy move. They didn't let him stand in front of the bank for that long. But why would you stop anybody from opening a bank account? Why would you prevent anyone from entering into the financial system to add economic activity? Because that's not what the banking system is about. That's not what it's about at all. So Bitcoin really is that freedom money. And look, the numbers are speaking for themselves.
Remember, guys, Bitcoin doesn't care where you're from, who you are, what your skin color is, where your race, where your country that you happen to be born in, right? Anyone could just download a Bitcoin wallet. Simple as that. If you have access to the internet, bada bing, bada boom, right? And that is why they have Steve Hanke coming out of his cave. Now, so we showed you, this example of freedom, right now, I'm going to show you an example of essentially what's happening in the Western countries, right? And essentially the all-out war for cash, right? They want your money in the bank, right? So that the bank could use it to loan it out to other people. Now they don't even have a reserve requirement anymore since 2020. So it's not even fractionally reserve banking anymore. It's literally zero reserve banking. I don't even know if that's the correct term, right? But essentially, if the government sees that you have a lot of cash, they have a right to seize it. Like, it's totally legal, right? Because unlike, right, you're innocent until proven guilty. When it's property, it's guilty until proven innocent. So, anyways, let's check this out. So, check out this awesome thread by Jody Barr. I'm assuming he's a lawyer, but he has an amazing thread. We're going to link it down in the show notes. But here he says, here's something I've never seen before and can't find anywhere. A Fed agent seized $115,000 from a man. The agent says he's going to launch a Fed investigation of money laundering and drug activity, then offers the man a way out: surrender his cash and no investigation. So again, with absolutely no suspicion, no reason, right? Just because you have $115,000 in cash, right? Apparently you're a criminal. Anyways, let's check out the vid.
The agent told Lyon he wasn't leaving with his money.
I think there's probably some legitimacy to your claim, but based on just some of these findings, I'm going to seize your money under administrative seizure for Homeland Security, and we're going to give you about 60 days to come up with an appeal. You receive some stuff in the mail, and the U.S. Attorney's Office will give you a chance to provide legitimacy for your money.
Okay, so you heard that correctly, right? We're going to seize your money because we think you committed a crime, and then you have to prove that this money is, quote unquote, to use their words, legitimate before we give your money back. Anyways, moving on. It's not just this isolated case. I brought more receipts.
It's not your money?
It's not your money.
Not our money.
It's
not
the
our
government's
money, right?
money. So check out. It's not an isolated case, by the way. We always bring the receipts here on Simply Bitcoin. Check out this article from the Los Angeles Times. FBI says fortune seized in Beverly Hills raid was criminals' loot. Owners say, where's the proof? Anyways, after the FBI seized Jose Ruiz life savings during a raid on a safe deposit box business in Beverly Hills, the unemployed chef went to court to retrieve his $57,000. A judge ordered the government to tell Ruiz why it was trying to confiscate the money. They didn't even have to tell him. And
this is psychotic.
The default response is it came from drug trafficking. Very similar to what we just played you on the video, right? It had to do something with drugs.
So if you have cash, it has to be drugs.
If it's above 10,000,
There's no way that you don't trust the banking system, right? There's no way that you don't trust these angels of money.
Do you see what's going on here? When your money's in a bank, right? You're in a 2 of 3 multi-sig, except you only own one of the keys. The government owns another key, and the bank owns another key.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
very well put.
It came from drug trafficking. An FBI agent responded in court. Ruiz's income, again, all assumptions, right? Ruiz's income was too low for him to have that much money. And his side business, selling bongs made from liquor bottles, pretty cool, suggested he was an unlicensed pot dealer, the agent wrote. The FBI also said a dog had smelled unspecified drugs, unspecified. No receipts. Unspecified. The FBI was wrong when Ruiz produced records showing the source of money was legitimate. The government dropped its false accusation, returned his money. See what's going on here? They accuse you of something. They're lying. They know they're lying. They're lying anyways. And then you have to prove your innocence to get your money back.
So the dog smells some illegal substances on the money, and they just that money.
No. That's Phil. That was the story made up.
No, yes, but that's what I'm saying. Like think about that for a second. So that money went directly from the printer to his house? Is that what they're assuming? There's no way that money went to anyone else first. All of those were freshly printed bills from the mint to his house.
Correct.
They must have been. Like, this is psychotic.
Dude, And get ready for central bank digital currencies. Get
Oh,
ready.
yeah. You
Get
think
ready.
this is bad.
Get
Imagine
ready.
when they have more control.
Race is one of roughly 800 people whose money and valuables the FBI seized from safe deposit boxes they rented at the U.S. private vault store in a strip mall on Oakland Boulevard, or Olympic Boulevard. Federal agents had suspected for years that criminals were stashing loot there, and they assert that that's exactly what they found. The government is trying to confiscate $86 million in cash and a stockpile of jewelry, rare coins, precious metals taken from about half of the boxes. But 6 months after the raid, the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles have produced no evidence of criminal wrongdoing by the vast majority of box holders whose belongings the government is trying to keep. About 300 of the box holders are contesting the attempted confiscation. Race and 65 others have filed court claims saying the dragnet forfeiture operation is unconstitutional. Remember the Fourth Amendment. No unreasonable search and seizure. Sounds pretty fucking unreasonable to me, man.
Yeah, man. You kidding me? This is a total clown world.
All right, so let me show you the mechanism in which they get away with this, right? Because again, you are protected under the Constitution in the sense that you are you are innocent until proven guilty. That's why they always say suspects on the cop shows and stuff like that. However, when they seize your property, check this out. United States of America versus the exact dollar amount, $15,413 in U.S. currency. So you aren't the defendant. Your property is the defendant. So therefore, it doesn't have the constitutional protections of a human being. So you have to prove the innocence of how you got that cash. So connect the dots. Now, let's put central bank digital currencies into this argument, right? If the federal government is acting like this with cash, right? If it's not in a bank account, it's illegal. Essentially, that's what they're saying, right? How do you think they're going to act when they have complete and total control over your money? Social credit system, baby. That's what. Are you being a good citizen? Did you walk 15 miles away from your house? Are you, are you using too much carbon? Right? Or, we just showed you the example of El Salvador, where the bureaucracy proves that the bureaucracy isn't necessary and the world isn't going to just catch on fire. And look at that. You give people freedom, and people like it, and they use it to make their lives better. Look at that. This is the two futures we have in front of us. Bitcoin or slavery. And just those seizures, right? And remember, the attitude, I played you the video, the attitude of these federal agents, they don't care that they're lying. They don't care that they make up this stuff. They'll just take it anyway. You want to know why? Because they have the power to do so.
They can, yeah.
And you know what Bitcoin does? It drastically changes the balance of power from the state to the individual. Try seizing 12 words. Try it. Try doing it on a countrywide scale. Try doing it. Try seizing 24 words. Try seizing multi-sigged, geographically separated seeds in unknown locations. Try seizing that. Try seizing multi-sig, geographically separated seeds in different countries. Try seizing that. Do you get where I'm going with this, Phil?
Oh, 100%. And I love it.
Bitcoin fixes this problem, and this is a glimpse of what the government is going to do with central bank digital currencies if you allow yourself to use them. It's Bitcoin or slavery. There is no in between. Phil?
You just showed, okay, just a couple of examples of what they can do, okay? And we're just talking about cash. So what happens when we get to CBDCs, right? Like you were mentioning, the social credit system, stuff like that. Like imagine, right? Like, imagine the type of reality where, if you go to the doctor for a certain condition, all of a sudden, because, like, let's say it's, unfortunately, right? Let's say it's something like diabetes, let's say it's like overweight or something like that, all of a sudden you might, because the system is using CBDCs, you may end up getting penalized, right? Stuff like that. Like, they don't really care. I want you to think about it, right? Right now, okay? Right now, we just went through this whole pandemic thing, okay? And they were giving out checks, right, to people for like $1,200, and we saw some politicians explaining how, like, this was a big help, like, almost like they thought they were pretending that it made sense that $1,200 was somehow going to last months and months and months. And again, right, I'm not talking, like, I'm not for government handouts or any of that shit, okay? But my point is that these people have they are so far away from reality. Okay, they are so far out of touch with the average human being in their ivory towers that they don't even understand what the average person needs and what their problems really are. So that's why they don't see a problem with continuing to print money. They don't see a problem with these issues. They just think it's fantastic. They don't see a problem with the fact that people have less faith in the currency. They don't give a shit. Doesn't matter. They've got all the toys. They've got all the mechanisms. They own all the gates. It's all good.
They have
right?
all the power. They have
That's right.
all the power.
And Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just want to say, and Bitcoin is that thorn in their side. It constantly, Bitcoin, no joke, it's like that really annoying, somehow, I can't equate it to anything else, but like this, like, annoying person that pops into your, that pops into, I don't know, like, that just, like, comes up while you're explaining something and tells you that you're a fake. And tells you that you're a phony, and it tells you why. Like, that's what Bitcoin does. So as they're sitting there and they're like, we're going to fix everything with CBDCs. You're not going to have anything. Don't worry. You're going to eat plant-based garbage. You don't need any of this other stuff. You need to kill yourself for the ozone layer. And then Bitcoin shows up and reminds everyone, you guys just have all this power because you're printing all this money and you're funding all these organizations that are pushing all these causes. Like, they can't have that. It's that voice that they can't get rid of.
Yep, it just doesn't go away, and you put it beautifully. It shines a light of truth, to their broken system, right? You saw it there. We showed you the receipts, guys. We showed you two. I showed you El Salvador. Showed you cash confiscation, right? Like, they're just entitled to that, right? And again, this comes from a very old trope, right? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Absolute money printing corrupts absolutely. This is why these people are so out of touch with reality, and they feel like they're playing God. Why do they feel like they're playing God? Could you imagine literally a money printer, right, that pays for anything you want, any policy? Right now they're trying to do a $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. No one talks about how we're going to pay for that. No one. It's just like, okay, yeah, trillions of dollars, right? And you know what's crazy is that Satoshi knew exactly that this was going to happen, and he wrote it in the Genesis block. He wrote Chancellor on the second bailout for banks. And that's exactly when the QE experiment started in 2008. We've shown you guys the receipts. Here we are 12 years later, and Satoshi was so goddamn right. So opt out of that fucking slavery system, buy yourself some Bitcoin, take it into self-custody, and buy yourself some freedom. You'll see, psychologically, you will feel better if your wealth is in Bitcoin. I see it. It's undeniable at this point. It's amazing. Do it, guys. Free yourself from fucking tyranny, because that's what these people are. Take away their power, because that's what Bitcoin does. Anyways, Phil, there was a interesting website by Plebe. Why didn't you show everybody?
Websites by plebes. It's not just a website by plebs, right? It is a pleb. We're talking Arc BTC, Ben Arc. For the people who don't know Ben does all kinds, like all the microcontroller parts that I show. Like, I originally started doing all this stuff that Ben was doing. He would put his projects on GitHub, and then we go and get to, download the code and try them out ourselves with our own hardware. So guys, We're going to post the link to his GitHub in the show notes. Specifically, this is the LNURL point of sale system, which is essentially, look at this, it's a tiny microcontroller. It's using LNURL, right, which is like just a tiny little bit of script that makes it so that you can generate invoices. It's really cool. I'm sure you can do a lot more with it. The link is in the show notes. You guys can check out everything and dive right in. But this is what's really cool about Bitcoin, is that you can do all kinds of cool stuff with microcontrollers. Down below in the show notes. Boom!
Boom. Man, it's super awesome. No committee, no things, no rules, right? Open source. You build your own stuff. You provide value.
Hardware.
Right? You buy your own. If you don't trust the hardware, you buy yourself. You build it together. We've brought Seed Signer, right? You know, you can now even build your multi-sig wallet out of just parts on Amazon, right? This is what Bitcoin enables, right? And the other side is this bureaucratic hell, essentially, because I don't have any other words to describe it. But super cool. Shout out to that guy. Shout out to that pleb. But anyways, guys, get your tickets for Bitcoin 2022. Be fast about it because the price continued to go up, and there's a 10% off thing down in the link description. There's going to be awesome speakers. Right now, confirmed, there's Adam Back going, so you should definitely get your tickets for Bitcoin 2022. Phil and I are going to be there. And of course, check out CryptoCloaks.com for the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch, like the Honey Badger and the Grenade. Click the link down below for 5% off. And Citadel 21 for the best Bitcoin cultural zine by plebs, for plebs. Check it out. Get yourself a physical copy quickly, though, because there's only 1,000 made. Citadel21.com. And, of course, Pirate Hash. Super awesome Bitcoin trinkets like board games, posters. Super cool. It's by the guy that made the UI for BISC, the peer-to-peer decentralized exchange. PirateHash.com. Check them out. Guys, if you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash the like button! And, of course, if you want to continue hearing the catastrophic fails, man, that was a funny one by Ether, because that was catastrophic. And the Bitcoin news from the bleep bleep perspective, definitely consider subscribing. And we'll see you tomorrow, guys, for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.
It was always going to be QE infinity.